The story on the weekend, Lordo, with the Dockers, the ruckman re-emergence of Aaron Sandlin was so significant and so timely.
He put on a clinic, Hutch, and some of this ruck work was just shows the big flaw in Geelong's game and also the dominance. So he's been criticised that none of his taps go to anywhere, but now they've got, I think, the best complement of inside and outside midfielders, that now he is going to be a serious weapon. We wondered whether he could play ruck much longer because of his foot injury, but he's shown that he could be a secret weapon moving forward in this final series.
And the clearances showed up. I mean, have a look at those. Those numbers are unbelievable.
And after quarter time, it was just a dominant. I think they were 10-1 at one stage, Geelong, and then it was total dominance from Aaron Sandlin.
Stephen Hill was fairly timely too. I don't know if it's deliberate or not.
I want to talk about a bloke who I haven't seen showed up in the best players anywhere. I had him in my best 3 or 4 because of what he does, and I'd have him in the best 3 or 4 for the year for Freo. No one plays on 2 opponents as often as Chris Mayne does, and there's no one in the competition that halves a contest against 2 opponents better than him. And for Fremantle to play the footy that they want to play, that's going to carry them, we think, into a grand final, that is one behind the footy, it means that every time Mayne goes down to his position, he's looking at playing on 2 players. And his willingness to compete is better than anyone, and we need to acknowledge that. He had 13
So you're saying that he plays, the guy behind the ball he seeks out and tries to play between them?
He has to. He has no choice. And I hear of commentators who whinge about midfielders getting tagged and how unfair the tag is. Every time he goes down to the forward line, he's looking at 2 opponents. And he competes better than anyone. He is a star, and the rest of the forward line have got on board, Lloydie, and that's what I love. They are unselfish, their work rates come up. I mean, Ballantyne, he also competes 1 against 2 a lot. And the other one that's joined in recent times is Matthew Pavlich. And it's great that he doesn't have to be the P anymore. His work rate's great. Ballantyne just sits down there. And this last effort here, game in the balance, they're coming. Pavlich pushing deep, gets it out of bounds.
And it's a good call on Pav, because, to be honest, he was the one that hadn't bought into it. And Ross Lyon has made him buy in, and he's a better player for it.
Gary wrote a fascinating story, it must be said, on Zach Dawson about 2 months ago and his significance in the back half, and how he's the first player recruited by Ross Lyon on what most people thought was over the odds at the time, and how he coaches his team on field from the back half. He was sensational on the weekend, held his formation, took everything his way, was good on the air, good on the ground. Lord A.
One blue, I reckon. He punched the footy when he should have cost him a goal.
And this guy used to be a laughing stock of the competition. And
he's a great story, isn't he?
Unbelievable story. And 17 clubs hate him and boo him and all that, but his hardness set the tone early in that game on Saturday.
Ross Lyon was at his fiery best after the game. He took exception to a question, and this was his response in a spirited debate in the aftermatch press conference.
Well, I'm not sure what you're alluding to. Are you talking about Dockers players or Geelong players?
Geelong players. We saw a few Geelong
Well, I think you're out of line, because what I saw some Dockers players go down off the ball.
I'm sure
yeah.
There were as well, but did you have a message to your players in particular?
What do you think?
I don't know, you tell me, you're the coach.
Well, I just think it's a silly question. Okay. We play within the rules.
Zach Dawson's game, Ross would have knocked it out. I think it's about 4
Yeah. What's your name?
Mine?
Yeah.
Shane.
Shane who?
McInnes.
Okay, that's the best question you can come up with after 2 hours of footy. You're quite brilliant, Shane. Yeah, terrific. To then focus on them is really disappointing in the context. Hang on, in the context of the effort we've delivered. That's why the disappointment. I'm still in a bit of shock at the garbage that was thrown up. I can't let it go because it's incredibly disappointing. And I'm not sure what you're alluding to. So I think you've got to look at what you stand for as a journalist, to be frank. Shane?
Fired up Ross Lyon in the post-game press conference here. Willing exchange between he and Shane McInnes.
McInnes. Look, it was... I don't want to criticise Ross Lyon after one of the great games that I've seen in my entire life. And I thought he coached brilliantly, obviously, and his team was magnificent. But that was tripe from him.
Was it?
He's better than that. Shane McInnes asked a perfectly legitimate question.
It wasn't a legitimate question.
And it wasn't?
No, it was.
Yeah, exactly. It was, and I thought it was a pretty good question after 2 hours.
Shane's a good friend of mine, but the one thing I think Ross took exception of is that it was both ways. There was Geelong players hitting the deck, and there was Fremantle players hitting the deck. But as Shane said,
and I'll ask Chris Scott the same question. Chris Scott wasn't in the room. He was fired up. He was sending a message to his players. He was, don't just play the fall guy. Craig, let me finish. He was trying to send a message to his players, to umpires, to everyone in the AFL. He had every right to feel like he'd been treated like a second-class citizen by the AFL by making them play down there.
They were not reading too much into it.
No, he was angry. He was fired up. It had been a great win.
You're taking offence at that, really?
I just hate seeing journalists bullied like that, and I thought Shane really didn't deserve to be treated.
You sit here every week and say all those same things about everyone all week long.
You should consider your ethics as a journalist.
No, he didn't. He never said that.
You should consider something as a journalist.
He used the word ethics.
Well, he said something about his values or morals.
It's Shane to be right.
Standing.
Shane said,
Standing,
oh,
he said.
badge of honour for Shane.
Shane's fine, he's standing.
Shane's tough. He asked the questions. Ross gave him a clip back. It's great for footy. It's good to see.
It was unnecessary.
And in fairness to Ross, no one was found guilty of anything today. So the insinuation that they played sniper footy was unfounded.
But he didn't
I think
he
was
said,
entitled to send a message back.
I don't think that was the question, Hutchie, in fairness. He just said, did you go out to...
Well, Caro's trying to put the word ethics into the question.
All right, let's put ethics on.
Let
me talk about ethics once the siren goes between opponents. Steve Crowley, Ryan Crowley and Steve Johnson. Crowley did an unbelievable job. He was one of the most influential players on the ground. This was post-game. They eventually got the handshake out, but it continued on, Lauder. I don't know whether... I haven't been able to track down what was said after the game, and I've rung 3 or 4 people. We interviewed Ryan Crowley after the game. I had 2 cracks at trying getting it out of him then, and he declined to expand on it. So...
Is he having a go at his age?
Well, it looks
his age and his longevity in the game?
I just said I don't know. I tried my hardest.
That's the word.
Well, that shouldn't be a big deal.
You're an old bloke and you're finished. It must have been worse than that.
I don't know.
It looked like Ryan was trying to explain to the captain, Selwood, what he actually did, but Bill Brownless will tell you that he said something to Stevie Johnson which he didn't like. So
how he's on the All-Australian 40, Gary, Ryan Crowley.
Staggering.
That's a massive oversight. If we're picking a genuine team here, which is the terms of the All-Australian team.
Well,
then
he
you
went
need
to
a tag.
Stevie
Did
Johnson.
he not even get in the squad?
No.
He went to Stevie Johnson when he was mid full flight Stevie Johnson and stopped him in his tracks.